Hello and welcome back to Nottingham for the World Flying Disc Federation World Masters Ultimate Club Championships. We are here for a semi-final in the Masters Women's Division between StellO from Canada and Old News from the United States of America. My name is Sean Colfer and I'm joined here by Becky Thompson. Becky, what are we expecting in this game today?
Yeah, this should be another really exciting game here today, Sean. These two teams, the number 1 and 2 seed in this tournament, meeting in the semifinals due to an early loss in the tournament, StellO losing to the Japanese team of Nike. Meanwhile, Old News undefeated so far in this tournament, and the closest score they've had against them has been 7 points. You can see there in the bracket, wrapping up their quarterfinal 15-2 over Sauer as well. StellO having a bit of a closer game, 15-10 over Big Tendinitis.
Yeah, so far Old News have been tearing through this division, playing phenomenally well. And one of the main reasons, although their star-studded roster has plenty of depth, one of the main reasons will be familiar to fans all over the world, Zoom Zoom, Cami Groom. Yeah, Cami Groom, a game-changing player. 7 goals, 14 assists, often found unguardable in cutting spaces, plays for DC Washington's Scandal in the club season, and here now for Old News. And on the other side, StellO, again, a deep team, a lot of really good players. One of their main throwers is going to be Jessie Brown. Yeah, Jessie Brown is the kind of thrower who you want to push off the disc. You don't want to let her have the disc in her hands, because when she gets it, she is going to make things happen for this Canadian team. Yeah, has been scoring at a clip of around about 3 a game, or exactly 3 a game. No one else above 2 for StellO. So clearly a vital player for the Canadian runners-up at the last WMUCC in Limerick 4 years ago. As you see, flag fluttering there, the wind 14 miles an hour, certainly nowhere near as bad as it has been for the rest of these championships, and the temperature of 21, it's warming up a bit, although the wind does make it feel a little cooler down there on the ground. But the conditions shouldn't be too much of an issue for teams this good, Becky. Yeah, this is much more playable than it was yesterday. We were seeing gusts of up to 28 miles an hour, really affecting the outcome of games, whereas today these are the kind of conditions you would say is almost a thrower's wind. Just enough wind down there to put some shape on the disc, and I think the players will be absolutely fine. So as we prepare to start here, StellO with the disc, they'll be pulling to Old News to kick us off. Old News, who haven't really got a set O and D line. It sounds as though a lot of players still kind of working their way into things. A lot of players have played for Scandal before, although not every player on the roster has played for Scandal before, but they have a lot of talent from all over the Northeast. So they're kind of working things through, tweaking lines, making changes as they go. And you have to say, Becky, it's worked pretty well so far. Yeah, they've just been so dominant throughout this tournament. Really a lot of depth in this team. And McKenna there was looking for an option, couldn't find one, and a late stall huck is blocked in the end zone, although there is a foul call down there, and it looks like there's a stall out call down here. So they're going to talk about both. It did look to me on that deep shot that Melissa Dunbar had got the inside lane, maybe a little bit of contact, but it did look to me like she had boxed her out. McKenna had no option but to go for that deep shot.
On that D,
I agree you have the inside position, but I do feel like the movement into me prevented me from jumping.
Like my motion of jumping prevented you from jumping?
I feel like you hitting me like in the throw kind of caught me off and I couldn't jump.
Okay.
But we can also, can I ask for if there was perspective?
You had perspective, right?
I definitely thought that it impacted my ability. Yeah.
That's our perspective.
Yep, it's also a stall down.
Oh.
Okay. Sorry, our team's.
So which one goes this?
So
this
we are discussing
first.
Backwards.
Okay, so that one goes backwards. And it's a contested stall there.
It's a contested stall, so it goes back here, right?
Yep.
So up to you.
Okay, I contested.
Okay.
So contest the foul, and so here we have foul contested here, and we have stall count contested as well.
Yep.
Okay, not 100% sure the advisors knew that there was a stall out back here for a little while. I think we could have probably resolved that a little quicker if we knew that there was a contested stall out down here. Doesn't really matter what the foul happens there, doesn't it? So it's coming in on 8 with McKenna. Becky's right. Didn't really have too many options. It was a good mark. but this time is able to find continuation into the middle of the field. France with the disc. Back to McKenna. That one popped up, but good catch from McKenna. Around. Far side with Hart. Back to McKenna, but that one's out of her grasp, and StellO do get the disc anyway. And StellO potentially with an indication of what their defensive strategy is going to be. Boost it deep immediately, but Kelly Highland knocks it away. Closer to Old News' own end zone.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely an indication of strategy there. There was no hesitation to pick that up, and Huck maybe trying to get a bit of field position, but like we mentioned, the windy conditions here maybe not needed to play like that this time around.
Hart shooting deep, just out of the grasp of France. Got a hand to it, but couldn't get all the way around it. But there is an injury call here, and Kelly Highland is going off. It's something that Old News won't necessarily want to see. Kelly Highland, one of the best players in the United States, still performing at an incredibly high level. Not a bad sub though, Becky.
No, I was just thinking that those words you just said, Jonathan, will say about a lot of the players on this field today, still performing at incredibly high levels, and one of the best players from the United States.
Highland off, Groom comes on for her. So, StellO with their second possession. That disc pops up, but it's well read. Down the line here. So Jacquet. And there's a call here, it looks like. Brown with a disc, but we're carrying on. Brown with a disc. And there is a pick called. Pick call on the front of the stack. Sam Green trying to come off and get open. So the disc stays on that far side. StellO's second possession of this first point. Coming in on 6. As Becky said at the start, Brown a key thrower for this team. Looking for an option, sent us to Green. That disc goes all the way around. I'm not 100% sure that was for fourth, but it doesn't matter. Caught it and then to the end zone. Ooh, bit of a mess of bodies there. Hart got her hand on it, but it was a bit of a hairy one there for Old News.
Yeah, it's the second time on this point here, Sean, that Fulton has decided to just rip that flick huck upwind, so I think something we'll continue to see from her.
Safari doesn't like the around, instead throws the short one. Down the line to Wallison. And again, Old News finding a bit of momentum here. France with the disc. Down the line to Groom. Groom looking at the end zone. It's a pick going to be called there. Green had to try and navigate her teammate. Vachon just slightly in the way. Green recovers. Coming back in with Groom. Bending up the line from France. Can't quite get there, but there's a foul call. It looked like there was a hand on the back. And it doesn't look as though this is... Yeah, it's accepted. Just a little hand on the back there.
Yeah, just enough contact to make that layout catch difficult for the player, so I think that's the right decision here in this case.
There's a discussion where the disc has come from, but it looks like everyone's happy. And it'll be France with the disc. France looking for an option downfield. StellO doing a pretty good job of keeping Old News pinned on that sideline, but as soon as they get it off, Groom to McKenna. That's the first point on the board for Old News, but StellO surely will be very happy with that point, Becky.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking here, Sean. What a great first defensive point to come out. That point lasting, nearly 7 minutes here to start the game as well. So they've kept this offensive unit here out on the field. We know that Old News doesn't necessarily play with a set O and D line. They'll be able to rotate people in, but that is a massive win for a defensive line to come out and keep that offense out there for as long as possible. Multiple turns, chances to score in that upwind end zone as well. Old News having to earn the disc back a lot there, Sean.
Yeah, 2 blocks from your O-line on the first point, while reassuring that you're able to get it back, is not necessarily what you're after for a first offensive point out there. So Old News now getting ready for their first defensive opportunity. We see Jesse Brown, who I think came on as the injury sub replacement when Highland went off. Makes sense given that StellO had the disc at that point. She is back on this line and will no doubt be an important part of what StellO looking to do offensively. It's Old News shuffle around their matchups. And the pull goes up. Jaffray to the far side. Quigley. Quigley comes all the way around. Nice movement here by StellO. Landry goes in to Zhao, who has to leave her feet. There is a pick called. Are we going back? We're going back to Landry.
Yeah, and there was a pick there just as Jessie Brown was trying to clear into that upfield space.
Generally speaking, if Cami Groom says she's going to be closer to someone without a pick, I would be inclined to believe her. Landry looking for an option, not much going on. Goes for that around, difficult around to Quigley. Well read, under pressure. Quigley goes for the end zone. Low shot, another one that's very well read, and a good catch for StellO and a clean offensive hold for them, first point.
Brittany Cook going to ground, sliding in to get that one. That just looked like it was lasered to the end zone, but in the end, perfect shot. StellO with a clean hold to respond after that first long point as well here. You can see the joy on their faces. They told us before the game that they are very much running on vibes, enjoying this tournament, enjoying the moment. Great grab there from Quigley under pressure as well. And the catch to finish it off. Good focus and vision there from Cook to retain that disc all the way into her hands as it was blading pretty low to the ground.
Good deep from Melissa Deng, but Quigley brings it down, spots a chance to go deep, and does just that. Impressive first offensive point from StellO. They've started a little stronger than Old News, who struggled a little bit on that first offensive point. We'll see what they've got now. Looks like a fairly different line to the first O-line we saw, Becky.
Yeah, some variety in their lines, and we do know that all of these players feel like they can play O, D, whatever direction needed. They've got a lot of depth in this roster, so not a surprise to see a new unit coming out here.
Another zone transition by StellO, looking to stop initial pull plays. That disc comes in, and that was not the intended receiver, but extremely good reactions there. As the disc comes into the middle, but it's another turnover.
And that's exactly what you want those transition zones to be able to do. When they melt into that match defense, it's causing that moment of confusion and chaos, and that had the miscommunication there for Old News.
StellO with the disc. Fortin with the disc. Looking downfield. Fortin's already sent two shots to the end zone, so we could be seeing one here, but instead we see it around. The StellO D-line still being aggressive. Shot goes deep. That's going to be run down. Just outside the end zone now. With Jacquet. Looking for an option. Very little going on. Comes back, the dump. To Cote. Cote now looking at something. Not much going on. Straddle of the end zone. Disc with Commander. Commander with a lefty, and there it is. It's a break for StellO. They've started really well, and they've just solidified it with the first break of the game.
Marie-Christine Jacques there coming in with a huge grab, going all the way on that deep cut as well. Incredible first break, and a deserved break as well. They put so much pressure in on that first defensive point, come out and they backed it up against a new offensive line as well. And I really think credit to that transition zone, like you said, Sean, stopping the pull play in a very loose wall at the front. I think they're playing match in the backfield, which makes that transition quite quick as well when they melt out of it, and able to cause that moment of miscommunication. Just a little bit too low in front of Malinowski there. And then it took 3 or 4 tries here on the end zone line, but great patience here from StellO to wait for that cut to open up for the goal.
Yeah, StellO have shown on their D-line they're very, very happy to be very aggressive. First couple of deep shots didn't work. That deep shot worked beautifully. And StellO take the early advantage. And as you said, Becky, 15-7 was the closest game Old News had had to this stage. They've been pretty serene in their progress, but they look much more ill at ease than their Canadian opponents do here. France fields the disc, and Old News will be going against the wind now, although, as we've said, the wind is nowhere near as strong as it was yesterday. As you see a three-person cup zone again for StellO, slowing the initial flow of Old News. Beautiful throw for Motsafari into France. And Old News are off to the races here. Deep shot goes up. Is McKenna going to be able to track that one down? It's tailing away, but no, McKenna with a nice footwork keeps that one in the end zone. And a good hold for Old News, moving through that zone much better than they have previously. Yeah, looking a tiny bit more settled. I still think not necessarily the option they would have wanted to look for initially, but again, like we said, StellO playing that transition zone at the front, but this time around, Old News, as soon as they were able to break it around into the middle, that deep shot opened up to McKenna, who was miles deep in the end zone. So even though that disc maybe didn't float the way that it was intended, with so much time, no defensive pressure in the space, McKenna was always going to reel that one in. Yeah, if that disc stayed inbounds, it was always going to be McKenna's, and it stayed inbounds for just long enough for her to reel that one in. She has both of Old News' goals here, but Old News are a breakdown. They are going to need to get back into this one. So Old News getting ready to pull. You'd imagine it's going to be a big one with the wind behind them. And Malinowski does indeed uncork a big pull that goes all the way into the end zone, fielded by StellO well. And they throw it to the far side to start this point. Dunbar looking for options downfield. Hard work getting up line, but Jaffray does it. And there is a foul call that looks to have been accepted. Decent amount of contact on that cut, but good concentration through the catch. StellO a little disconnected. We see in the middle of the field, Landry has loads of space, but there's three cutters deep. That's a wonderful throw up line. Put on a postage stamp for Brown, but Brown can't clear Simonelli, who reels it in, and it's a big opportunity now for Old News to get that break back. Well, Simonelli has very little going on here, and that throw is going to be too far. That reset defense there from StellO as well, so aggressively taking away the unders, put Old News into a really uncomfortable position to earn the disc back. Brown with the disc, looking for options. Goes across the field, Landry. Aggressive fronting by Old News. And the scuba goes over the top. And it's a goal. Zhao reels it in. That aggressive fronting taken advantage of by throwing over the top. Yeah, and this time around it was Old News who were fronting hard and really stifling those end zone options there for StellO. But Landry deciding to go for that scooper over the top, and Zhao read that really well all the way, got her body position in the right space. See the earlier turn there from Jessie Brown, just shooting maybe a little bit too low there. Simonelli able to reel that one in, but that throw just not executed. The reception there, the reset was open, and Landry with the scooper in for the goal. Under a lot of pressure there as well, Zhao. Yeah, Simonelli and Malinowski, both of whom are taller than Zhao, are right there in position to challenge, but the throw is perfect, and that upline to Jessie Brown in that last point. That throw was absolutely wonderful. StellO showing that they have talent on the disc as well. Old News might be favourites here, but StellO are not to be trifled with. Yeah, and StellO, a team with so much chemistry. These players played together for so many years, a lot of them for Ottawa Stella over the years, some for back in Capitals days from Toronto as well. So a lot of experience playing together, and clearly that chemistry is really paying off so far here, Sean. Yeah, chemistry really the watchword here. Old News, as we said, the team that hasn't played a load together. They're kind of working through kinks during the event, and StellO doing a smart thing of making them work it and making them find some tempo and chemistry by throwing this zone, slowing things down and getting them out of the plays they want. But Old News working the disc quite nicely here, taking sensible options, and we've now melted to match. Cameroon open open on the under. Dang goes down the line, but again, that one's not going to complete. It's going to be reeled in by Fortin. Fortin, as she has before, immediately goes deep. And that's almost like playing position there, Becky.
Yeah, that one maybe could have waited a little bit longer. We've seen the other two from Fortin where she's been going in that upwind direction, so able to release it really early. Could have just waited a bit longer with the wind at her back to release that huck.
Yeah, and that throw's not going to complete either. There is a discussion here. It looked as though Wardell and Murphy collided downfield, and I don't know whether Murphy's saying she would have been able to get there. Let's listen in. Looks as though the discussion is basically centering over whether Murphy would be able to get there. There are two defenders that would have been in the way.
Yeah, to me it looked
so
like...
the call's been retracted, it looks like.
Yeah, I think that's the right decision here. I think that the defense for StellO was in a better position to make that block. Cote just in that space well before.
Or has it been? If it was retracted, one would have expected it to have started already. So the disc goes up. Murphy's trying to get there. I really don't think the defender could do absolutely anything there. She's standing still.
Exactly what I was going to say, Sean. The defender had her feet planted as well. So really, I don't think there's an argument here for Old News.
She's also standing still and not looking. Murphy ran into her back. So I don't know what she expects that this defender should have done. But for me, Wardell does not do anything wrong here.
Yeah, you could understand the argument. Now you're seeing the signal there for turnover. You could understand it if Wardell had moved into the lane of Murphy, but with her feet planted, and also Cote was in the space before either of those players too.
So it's a foul contested, which would mean it goes back to the thrower. Okay. I don't agree with that outcome, but okay.
And neither does the crowd. You can hear some boos from the other side of the field right now, and I have to agree, I don't think that's a particularly good call here from Old News.
Be that as it may, Old News with the disc. Goes deep, looking for Murphy against Wardell. And that one goes over the top, and that is a very good catch by Morse, but I think Morse has clotheslined Amanda Murphy in old-fashioned WWF style.
Yeah, Morse doing a fantastic job to get to that disc, but it was fading over the back shoulder of Murphy, so having to track it down while maybe going a bit backwards there. Just coming together of the two teammates.
That's a John Bradshaw Layfield clothesline from hell is what that is. It's absolutely cleaned her out. Hopefully she's okay, because that is a heavy collision with the teammates on friendly fire, but we get off and running again. And Old News with the disc. Another beautiful throw against the wind into that spot. We've seen that from StellO, and now again from Old News. Goes back. Dang with the disc. Looking for an option downfield. That is a really, really nice inside shot to Cami Groom. Beautiful throw from Dang for the goal.
Yeah, I love that cut from Cami Groom as well. Cut hard to that front cone, and then a few steps back into the middle on the 7 cut just to bounce back. And a great shot there from Wang.
But again, it's another hold for Old News. We said this on the first point of the game, Becky. Another hold where StellO are going to be pretty happy with what they're able to do there.
Yeah, I haven't really seen them be able to settle into their rhythm here yet, Old News. Only the one clean hold for them in this game so far, and just looking maybe a little bit stifled at times. That transition zone has been so effective from the StellO group. They look like they really have come out with a strong game plan. We did ask them before the game what their strategy was coming into this, and they talked a lot about positivity and vibes, but clearly they had a proper strategy coming into it.
Yeah, definitely. This zone transition is working really nicely for them, getting Old News off what they want to do and making them work through the hands. You would expect for most of this tournament, the athleticism, the power, the throwing ability, they're probably just been able to run teams off the field in a track meet, but StellO not allowing them to do that at the moment. So we see McKenna pull, and another offensive point for StellO underway. Sends it to Brown. split stack from the Canadians. And it's a zony look from Old News as well, taking a page out of their opponent's book. Over to this near side. Much trappier now. That force a lot more aggressive on this sideline. Landry standing with her feet on the line. Don't want to be standing there in case it goes to you. Bit of bother here, going deep. No one really there. The only person there is Morse, who knocks it away.
And that is the sideline you don't want to be stuck in. Even though it's a little bit less windy today, that is still a hard place to get out of.
Cami Groom with the jab and go. Opens up acres of space deep. Good shot to find her. And Groom then finds McKenna in the end zone. And that is a pretty straightforward score. Very, very good tactical switch from Old News to go to their own zone.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want to see from the top teams. And you do time and time again. They're so effortlessly able to adapt in these games, recognizing that StellO was maybe quite comfortable in their pull plays as well, coming down in that zone and forcing that disc to that low side of the field. They were very comfortable with those little swings as long as they were getting closer and closer to that sideline, and that really did force them into that situation to earn the turn there.
Yeah, you can see pointing around, had very, very few options, did Jaffray. Really nothing around to aim towards, and Cami Groom with that jab and go. Landry took the bait on the under, left very exposed, and then with the disc moving around, players all around, Jesse Brown trying to cover one thing, leaves another thing wide open. Some discussion on the sideline between the two teams. Oh no, that's just a different person wearing a different white jersey. I saw the Canadian maple leaf on the back too late. That's not an Old News player. And was Quigley having the chat, and she should have been on the line. And it looks as though, if they wanted to, Old News could call a time violation here. See the game advisors making that signal, the stall out signal basically. Means a time violation, which means the pull would be caught, and then Old News would be able to set up. But they haven't called anything, and instead we carry on as normal. This is with Jaffray. Back to Brown. StellO quite a long way away from the disc here. Brown looking for options. Faking on that break side a number of times. Goes to Landry. Tries to go back to Brown, but she can't reel it in. Tough catch.
Yeah, just zipped a little bit too much speed on that disc and was also just behind Brown as well.
Doesn't matter, there's a turnover. Drifting too much, and Laurie can't reel it in, banging the ground in frustration as the disc hits the turf, and there's a blown coverage somewhere because wide open in the end zone is Melissa Dunbar. Well found by Alicia Zhao, and StellO needed that. That was getting a little bit difficult, giving up a break, giving up a turnover, looking like Old News might be able to start putting their feet down, but really, really good point for StellO in the end.
Yeah, you see that first turnover there, just slightly behind Jesse Brown. It did come in with a lot of speed on that disc, but Jesse Brown immediately able to go back and get enough pressure in that space to make that potential catch there difficult, and then you see just no defender in the space on Dunbar. Dunbar, as soon as that transition happened and the turnover happened, she immediately started hunting towards the end zone, and the defense just never caught up.
See people trying to shelter from the wind a bit behind that Discraft sign. Fans in the stands. Discraft, one of the sponsors of this event, along with VC. Plenty of stuff still available in the merch tent, I believe. And StellO get this next point underway. Centered to Vachon. Sorry, Old News get the point underway. It's with Groom. Groom to Douglas. Zoni again. Goes on to the far side. Hart looking down the line, but nothing doing there. Douglas again. We're in match now. Mosafari has it. Leaves the feet to make sure. StellO doing a good job of pushing Old News backwards here. Not a huge amount going on. And as I say, that Hart gets a big gainer. Far side with Groom. Hart's gone again, but there's a call of some kind in the Middle of the field, McKenna just got back to her feet. Must have been a pick of some kind. No, it's a foul. McKenna knocked to her feet, and it's an accepted foul by the looks of things.
Yeah, that stack, though, looking a little bit congested here, Sean. I think Old News have been forced into their plan B option, and they don't look as comfortable with it.
Tulsa Douglas looking for an option. Mosafari up the line. McKenna's free in the middle. Wollaston's coming free on that far, this near side of the camera. Back to McKenna. Groom up the line. Groom gold. McKenna to Groom. Switching it around from the point earlier. And Old News looking a little better. They're kind of more towards what we expected, towards their old selves.
Yeah, definitely working their way into this game, but certainly, Sean, this is the most pressure that this Old News team have come under in this tournament. Still early on in this game, but the StellO team going toe-to-toe with them early in this first half. On that occasion, Cami Groom going up the line is always going to be hard to stop.
Yeah, that's been the case for a very long time, as we see Nassim Bey-Vogel there on the sideline, part of the Clapham team that's solidified their spot in the final tomorrow. Both these teams will be looking to do the same. StellO have been there before, as we said earlier, losing finalists in Limerick 4 years ago. So Old News getting ready to pull and get this point underway. Old News did tell us that everybody was available. It's the first time, or one of the first times this week they've had everyone available. They had some players at other tournaments, but I don't believe we've seen Sarah Mextrath on the field so far, Becky.
Yeah, and did tell us that all their players were available to play for this game, so interesting to not see her playing yet.
It was Sarah Mextrath who told us that as well, so keeping things close to the vest. StellO on offense here. Moving the disc pretty well. Landry with the disc now. Been taking a big role for the Canadians early on here. Shot deep to the end zone from Dunbar. Visionary shot. Spots Cook with a sliver of space, but that's plenty when you can throw like that.
Brittany Cook, such a strong receiver as well. Dunbar, the vision on that to see Cook streaking into the end zone. I didn't initially see what Dunbar was looking for when that disc went into the air, but it had to be a perfect throw, and it was. But when you have Cook in the end zone, why not?
Another efficient hold for the Canadians. You see Dunbar has no hesitation in setting up that blade, dropping between defenders. What a throw that is. What a spot that is. So StellO still keeping things on serve as we see great slow-mo from Nathan Kalakovic there. You can see as Cook catches that disc while she's on the way down, she's celebrating. Great to see those slow-mo pictures. Everything just looks a little bit better in slow-mo, doesn't it, Becky?
Oh, absolutely.
A bit more emotion.
Those shots have been incredible from Nathan as well. It's a pleasure for us to be able to watch them.
So Old News here, looking to keep the pressure on their Canadian opponents. And StellO coming down with this zone again to try and keep Old News uncomfortable. Green comes around on the force, makes that throw difficult. Wang with the disc. Goes all the way over. That throw, again, reeled in by Simonelli, but I'm not convinced it was for Simonelli. Wang now. Back to Simonelli. Simonelli just out of the reach of the receiver there. I don't know whether Old News is being sped up a bit by this zone and the melting in and out of match, Becky.
Yeah, it does look like they're just facing more pressure maybe on defense than they've been used to in this tournament as well. And that can happen to teams when they've been comfortable and blowing out their opponents. Now facing their first amount of pressure can just take them out of their rhythm for a bit.
Cote, we've seen StellO be very aggressive on the turn. They've tried to move it around this time, and it did not work as well. Wang picks it up and goes for a quick start. Shoots to the end zone, spots a receiver wide open. Excellent throw, but another point where Old News are struggling to find that rhythm that served them so well so far in Nottingham.
Yeah, I don't think Old News will be particularly happy with how this game has gone so far for them. just under that pressure from the StellO defense. StellO, on the other hand, I think will be thrilled with the pressure they are putting on, taking them out of their plan A option, making them have to go back to the drawing board to figure out how to play, not just under the pressure, but that transition from the zone that we've talked about so many times. It's really caused a lot of confusion on that melt to match here from StellO.
It's another point. You've said this several times, but if you're StellO, you've got to feel pretty good about what you're able to do here, as we see excellent bid by Ritzman, not quite able to get there. And then the throw to Simonelli from Wang. And of note on the sideline, Becky, Kelly Hyland is wearing a blue jersey. Old News playing in white. Kelly Hyland took an injury early in the game, but that would be Kelly Hyland and Sarah Mextrath, both wearing blue on the sideline for the American team. Obviously, the rest of the roster is extremely good, but missing two players like that would be a big blow. So StellO here on offense. Sends it to Brown, essentially standing on her own brick mark. Side stack, huge amount of space, but instead the disc goes over to the far side. Jaffray goes back to Brown. Two resets, both basically in the same spot. And there's a collision there. I would expect that disc is going to go back to Landry. There'd been a definite stoppage. Looks like everyone's pretty happy for it to stay with Brown.
Yep.
Who has players in front of her in lots of space. Goes with a deep shot. Groom is in the vicinity. Zhao, you could see he was really worrying about the box out, trying to keep Cami Groom off the disc. Didn't quite do enough catching up to this, Becky.
Yeah, exactly that. Cami Groom just sucked Zhao into that space, made her have to compete for that physical battle, and instead the disc just carried further over to the far side.
Big chance here late in the first half for Old News. Down that line, Groom, toe tap on the far side, but there is a pick call. Unclear where it happened. And there's an injury. Landry coming off. Sonia Comenda going onto the field. Sonia Comenda, former London resident. Lived in a house that I lived into. She left her kettlebell, which I used for a while, but then she turned up on a bike to take it away. The kettlebell had like 24 kilos, just put it in a bag and cycled away with it. Mad stuff. Anyway, she's on the field. Old News with the disc. Wang has been instrumental to the movement in the last few points. A lot of chat coming from the sidelines. Wallace looks downfield. McKenna in lots of space. McKenna looking at the end zone. There's nothing there. Instead comes back. Dang goes downfield. Another really nice throw into space. Is it going to be too much drift? No, it won't be. Murphy reels that one in. Jackie Wang has been playing really well in the last few points, and that has driven Old News to take another break in their biggest lead of the game so far.
Yeah, Wang was really the difference maker for the offense on that point. Able to just open up the field with her throws, that little inside flick, the touch into the end zone. Murphy had time to just run onto it, making her teammates look good with how easy those throws are. You see, again, the turn here. Zhao just sucked into the pressure from Cami Groom. And then Wang, just gorgeous flick into the end zone.
It looked a little bit like StellO were constantly scrambling there, Becky. They weren't always able to get close to their matchups. They were struggling to be touch tight to people, and Old News did a great job of finding those gaps. Looks like StellO have called a timeout. Just want to gather themselves before they come out for this point. This will be a point to try and take half for Old News. And while the teams get ready for this big point, we'll take a break too. We'll be back with you shortly. Old News leads StellO 7-5. Welcome back to the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships here in Nottingham, where the breeze has picked up slightly and Old News leads StellO. The Americans leading the Canadians 7-5. Old News looking to try and take us into half, but StellO will try and hold out. Old News back out with this zone against the wind. Green free on this sideline, but this is the sideline that teams are trying to avoid. But the stall count rises, so has to go there. Nice find in the middle from Green. Back to her, going every other here. And a really nice shot down the sideline. Cook looking at the end zone. Back to Green, looking to center. Old News still in this zone. We've seen teams transition relatively early, but they're staying in it for a while here. Jaffray with the disc. Still in this zone, and really, really nice space finding by Brown. McKenna wasn't sure where to go. Brown has a disc, but doesn't have too much going on. Flips into that scuba grip. Looks back. We're going to be getting high in the stall. This disc is going to go. It does. Really, really good D. Getting that hand in there from Elizabeth Hart. And Old News looks to go quickly again. Hart on the far sideline. Comes into the middle. Shot deep. Laurie looking to take half. And does so with a phenomenal throw. Finds Ali Wallace. And Old News started slowly, Becky, but it looks like they're finding their rhythm now.
Yeah, Old News looking like a new team in the later part of that first half. Wallace just streaked to that end zone so early as well, trusting that that throw was going to come all the way from Laurie. And just settling into their rhythm now. And that's exactly what you expect from a team with this much experience and this much talent on their roster as well, that even with the pressure from StellO, get a chance to see that block again. They were always going to settle at some point in this game, and they've clearly done so now.
Yeah, StellO doing a really good job working down that sideline, but that's exactly what Old News wanted to do, pin them on the sideline and get the disc off them so they could take off. They've done so. They lead 8-5. We'll be back shortly for the second half of this Masters Women's Semi-Final.
This summer, Ultimate takes over the world. From the rising stars of World Junior Ultimate Championships to the seasoned battles of the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships to the biggest stage in Club Ultimate, the World Ultimate Club Championships. Watch it all unfold live, exclusively on Ultiworld.
Boston has its glory.
Jeff Babbitt with the size, the speed, the read. Did he throw it the full 80 yards of the field?
You cannot kill this Minnesota team. Are you believing what you're seeing? My hands are on my head up here in the booth.
Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt? Holy smokes!
Get the ultimate news you need to know with the Deep Look podcast. I'm Charlie Eisenhood.
And I'm Keith Rayner, and together we bring the games, names, and moments in Ultimate to your podcast feed. We talk Ultimate's biggest news from on and off the field about and with the people making it.
And every week, we go live on YouTube. Come join the fun, the trivia, the picks, the analysis, and more, Tuesdays at noon Eastern Time.
We'll see you there.
Hello and welcome back to the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships in Nottingham as we see highlights of the first half between Old News from kind of Washington in the United States and StellO from Canada, and Becky will tell you where because I can't remember. Ottawa?
From Ottawa.
Good first half between the teams. StellO started well, Becky, and Old News really turned on the acceleration later in the first half.
Yeah, we saw StellO able to really take Old News out of their first options with that transition zone, but as the half continued, they settled into more of a rhythm, started to figure out their flow as well. You can see the stats there. Old News 3 breaks in this game and just 7 turnovers. As well, Lindsay McKenna having a fantastic game with 3 goals and 1 assist so far.
Yeah, pretty clean game overall. Just 16 turnovers in that first half in 13 points. We see the completed passes per goal. Both teams pretty long offensive points, but the big difference there, StellO's D-line having to work it a lot more, whereas Old News' D-line able to run and gun a bit more as we see the game flow. You see the 3 breaks there for Old News. The break for StellO happened much earlier in the game, but minimal turnovers in these points, Becky. Both teams playing very clean, fast offense, despite the fact that both teams have thrown some very well-timed and well-constructed zones.
Yeah, it's definitely been a story of the 2 different zones so far in this game. As you get a chance to take a look at the bracket, the other semi-final happening between Ripe from the United States and Nike of Japan. Ripe currently leading 9-6, looking to book their place in the final. That game, we can imagine, will go down to the wire. We've seen Nike be very competitive throughout this entire week. And meanwhile, our game here, 8-5 at the half for Old News. You see StellO getting ready to come out in the second half. And John, I don't think that we'll see this StellO team go away anytime soon, despite the fact that Old News started to have the upper hand at the end of that first half. This is also a team with a lot of experience, a lot of ability to adjust, and I think we'll see them adapt to that zone, needing to maybe just stretch that cup a little bit as well. They really struggled when they were pushed towards that near sideline in that trap position, but if they can get those swings off and make that zone run, they can probably get to a lot more of an effective offense with it.
So StellO will be playing offense from left to right, the side with the wind at their backs to start this second half. Some fans in the stands, still a lot of games going on all over this complex, both at the Highfield Sports Complex where we are part of the University of Nottingham, but also at the Riverside Sports Complex where there's additional games going on. Semi-finals in the 3 Masters divisions today and finals in the Grandmasters and above. Just 3 games left on finals day tomorrow. Both of these teams will be hoping to be playing tomorrow. And it looks as though for the second half, Becky, we are about to see Sarah Mextra for the first time. So the pull comes up from Old News. And StellO will get things started near their own brick mark. Back to Brown. Match defense, no zone here. Brown looking downfield for an option. Goes to the break side instead. To Dunbar, bit of a collision on the catch. Landry just colliding with the defender. Maddox, pretty close. Looks like everyone's happy. Landry with the disc now. Inside to Zhao. Brown with space on the near side, shooting deep. Has a receiver there, the defender's in close proximity. Good boxing out, but again, we've seen it before. Dunbar, considering when it's called foul, deciding not to, but I was about to say we've seen it before, Becky. The StellO offensive player boxing effectively, but not securing the catch thereafter.
Yeah, that contact there coming definitely from initiating the Yeah, initiating the contact with the box there. So I think right call not to call a foul on that. Melissa Dunbar doing a good job to very nearly get to that layout after, but maybe getting a little bit sucked in by the defender and could have just taken a step to run it out rather than looking to box out.
So Old News looking to continue their good run at the end of the first half. Dang with the disc. Down the line, big gainer, but just over Mextruth. Look for a second as though Gorman might be able to catch the second attempt, but this hits the turf and Brown will pick it up for StellO. Has a deep shot immediately, but also has Dunbar and acres of space. Dunbar looking for an opportunity now. Physical D in the stack from Old News. Dunbar looking to go down the line, but just too far in front of Giffray, and again Old News pick and going. Cami Groom into the middle. Going again, looking to get it back from Morse. And Morse has been on it for a while, and a stall out is called. And it looks as though it's potentially a fast count, but that disc was definitely in Morse's hand when 10 was said, so it'll be about how fast the score count went.
Yeah, it did seem like quite a long time. See if we can listen in.
I really don't think I did. I think it'd be cool if we could look at the video.
I don't think we will be able to, and anyway there's no video footage available here.
I really think I got pretty far into 10.
So where we're at currently is what will be a contested stall out? That's what you were saying? So it's a contested stall out. Coming at late.
Unfortunately for Quigley, even if you could look at the video, we wouldn't be able to help you at all. We can't hear the stall count. So it goes back as a contested stall. Back into the hands of Dang. Dang downfield. Groom goes up to secure it. Another call, a pick. Quigley catches up with Morse. This gives Groom an opportunity to survey the field. 4 people in a very neat line. Level with Groom there. Groom to Mextruth. 2 World Games players linking up. And back, Maddox. Maddox over. Into the middle of the field to Malave. Groom. Morse, heavily involved in this point. Back to Dang. We said the Old News D-line finishing points quickly, but showing here they're very happy to grind it out as well. Groom with an ankle-breaking move. It's Mextruth. Groom again. Right on the doorstep. Little pop in, and that is a big point. It feels like a big point for Old News, Becky.
That was a huge point, absolutely. To get that break out of halftime, extend their lead to 4 points. They look so much more comfortable in this game now. Looks like they've figured out the way that StellO is trying to play, and they're really locking down those options on D. And then going back the other way on offense, Cami Groom just running the show on that point. We talk so much about her straight line speed and how quick she is, but she's incredibly smart as well, recognizing when Zhao committed her hips the other way, she immediately planted to go back up line, and then those little give goes in for the goal. Like you said, Sean, a huge point here for Old News.
You talked earlier in the broadcast, Becky, about the fact that Old News have not really played very many close games. 15-7 their closest, and you can see what they've got in their arsenal when they're able to put their foot down and really accelerate. They do not waste any time in doing so. Once they've got the disc, they're starting to treasure it a lot more, be more efficient. Just with the talent in this team, they certainly look like one that once they get into a rhythm, having not trained that much together, it's very, very difficult to stop them, like a boulder going downhill. StellO hoping not to be crushed by that boulder, as that pull is going to drift just out of bounds, and it's going to be bricked. Different looking O-line from StellO than we've seen in the past, notably no Brown. Instead, Vachon brings that disc to the middle. Commander with a disc. Again, Old News happy for the disc to come to this sideline. StellO did a really good job working it off though. Attacking the middle now. Commander pointing, telling people where she wants them to go. We're over on this near sideline again. Verney to Vachon. Commander comes into the cup. Fortan with the disc. Fortan going over the top. Malinowski's trying to recover to get there. Is he going to go over everybody? Oh, Malinowski gets a hand on it, but a foul is called. Looked like a close one, Becky. But looks as though it's accepted. I'm not quite sure where Malinowski is going. If you fouled,
Thank you very much.
If you fouled her, then you've got to be on her. But okay.
You can see just a little bit of contact there on the hand, just pulling Kote's hand down.
That's fairly significant travel. We're outside the end zone, but that's okay. Go with a push pass. Wow. Push pass not to the intended receiver. There is a call of some kind, but we talk about this at times, Becky. When things are cool enough, they should be allowed to stand, and that was a leading push pass. I loved it, but let's listen and see if we can hear what this discussion is.
It was like 3 seconds before the throw.
They're discussing when it happened.
That's a pick. Fouls are fouls. Picks are the debatable ones.
As a game observer for rule clarification though, if it didn't affect the play, he can still say the foul happened, but it didn't affect the play.
I feel like that's pick, not foul.
I think it's situational. If you can check the game advisor, but I think that's situational. For offense, if you're on offense, I don't know if the defense, like, since the foul was against the defense.
Yeah, I'll let him finish the sentence.
Against the offense, I would be happy to go for a clarification.
Okay, I mean, from what I'm listening to, yeah. So, from what I'm listening to, we have several different kind of opinions. What happened? I think 45 seconds is way past that. Send it back and play. Okay.
No, but you stopped your defense. I acknowledge it.
If you, yeah. Cuba, can you come in for a sec, please?
It sounds as though the discussion is whether they're able to let play continue if it affected. I mean, if the foul did not affect the play, you can say that you can ignore it and play on. That seems to be the discussion. I'm not 100% sure the game advisor is aware of what they're being asked by StellO.
Even if there was a foul, we agree. If it didn't affect, if it didn't affect the play, it would stand. Because otherwise, I'm at a disadvantage as an offensive player.
That would be correct.
Yes.
That would be correct.
Us having a foul didn't affect that catch.
But she called the foul, and I feel like if we resolve, but we would need to resolve that, and that would still be an advantage to you.
Hey, how about we just contest?
It's still a foul, but it didn't affect, so it stayed.
The question would be whether really your discussions here affected whatever happened there. This is how you should approach it.
Yeah.
We are, yeah.
There was a foul, but it didn't affect the play.
I think it.
But I think we already took so much that we've clarified that. However, I think the most way that we are good to just contest send it back. That's what I'm hearing.
Contested foul. It was very, very, it was very early.
Join us all.
We'll get another look at it here, Sean. See when that foul occurred. You can see them cutting just at the front of the end zone. It was before the throw. So I guess the only question about whether or not it affected would be if Christy Ellis was going to intend to continue to cut to that front cone, but I don't think that affected the outcome of the play at all. And I agree with Christy Ellis in her discussion there that she should be allowed to say this didn't affect, and the goal should have stood. Looking at that replay there, the only two people that stop are the people involved in the play, in the foul. Everything else carries on. The catch is caught, admittedly not by the person it should have been, but I think there the disconnection between what the advisors understood that they were being asked and what they were actually being asked meant that extended out far too far, and it's a turnover for StellO. And old news with the disc now. Malinowski into the middle of the field. Wallace looking for options. Wang finds some space, looking into the end zone. Goes to Malinowski. Malinowski shoots into the end zone, has someone open, but just a little bit too high, and Simonelli can't reel it in. Yeah, just that throw from Malinowski, not quite executed, I think, the way that they would have wanted that to come out of her hands.
It's going to be Commenda bringing this disc to the end zone line for StellO, who set up in that classic Air Canada shape. Both go deep, and they're back under. Cote into the middle of the field. Verney looking for an option, finds one eventually, and that deep shot goes up. Looks like that's going to be the defender all day, though.
Yeah, Feltin again unleashing that hook quite early, but enough time for the defender to read it, and it did just fall a little bit short. Needed to lead that further in front of her receiver.
I think Dagno had space when the disc went up, but Kerner ran it down pretty well, and by the time the disc was near them, was ahead. That's a deep shot from Wang straight to Kerner, an absolute laser down the field. There's a foul called, and it's accepted by the mark. So Old News just outside the end zone looking to convert again for their 5th in a row. 3 into half, already have 1 break out of half. But really good reset D by StellO, straight to a player in the end zone, and they clap catch and try and get the pace moving. Commenda with the disc, looking downfield. Lovely bend onto the open side there by Vachon. He goes down the field, but that is not coming back in. That is unfortunate. StellO looking to really push the pace, but it did not work.
Yeah, like you said, trying to maybe just rush that decision a little bit. Not able to execute on the throw. Did have an open cutter going in Feltin, so you can understand the decision. But this sideline is still, even with the conditions being better today, that is the hardest sideline to execute those throws from, as the wind is still coming towards this sideline, and the disc will get pushed further out of bounds.
So Old News with another chance here. A lot of turnovers on this point so far. It's the messiest one so far in the game. Oh, so just a straight drop from Old News. Spurred on by the crowd noise from the Canadians, maybe, Becky?
Yeah, a good contingent of Canadian fans in the stands right now enjoying this one.
Vachon with the disc. Looking center, but there's a big hand on that one from Kerner. And Old News will get the disc right on the end zone. Wang looking into Kerner. Vachon tries to get there. Little spike of the disc. Kerner may be unhappy with the level of contact there, but doesn't matter. It is a goal for Old News, 5 in a row, and they are really starting to put their mark on this game.
Very subdued celebrations there from Old News as well. I think a little bit of frustration. It did feel like that should have been StellO's point based on the call earlier. Again, they had 3 other chances on offense after that, so you can't say whether or not they should have scored or not in that point, but it was a hard call earlier, so I think a little bit of frustration showing after that one, and understandably so.
As we see here, the foul happens in the middle of the screen there, 88 and 11, tie up, they stop, no one else stops. This goes over the top, and it's caught. And the StellO players were correct if they all agree that the foul did not affect play. They can carry on. Obviously, the Old News players may have disagreed, in which case it would go back to the receiver, or to the thrower, sorry. But I think in trying to find that solution, or that aspect of the discussion, it took a long time, and I don't know we ever got there.
Yeah, from what I saw there, Sean, I don't think it affected the outcome of the play at all, and I do feel like that should have been StellO's point.
But the point goes down for Old News. They have 5 in a row, and they are really taking control of this semi-final. Coming out in a match D, but really aggressively pushing the disc backwards. Brown with the disc now. Nice flow onto that far side. Dunbar looking for an option. Has one wide open in the middle to Giffray. Quigley's looking to squirrels for space. Giffray's going deep instead. Dunbar is off, has some space. Big layout, can't quite get there. Might have been hit in the face by the disc, but you've got to take those risks in World Semi-Finals, Becky.
Yeah, that disc unfortunately just trailed away right at the end. It looked for a long time there like Dunbar was going to be able to make a play, getting so close to that one.
Yeah, the shape taking it away, unfortunately. Had space, good spot, but not quite executed. Most far to France in the middle of the field. Douglas looking downfield. Wallison. Hart looking for an option. Late stall. Couple of hands on that one. And it's a turnover, and StellO have the disc back. Jaffray fakes the shot to the end zone again. Instead comes to Quigley. Back to Jaffray. StellO going backwards. That disc is probably going to go, and Brown tries to come through, but McKenna gets a block on it. Douglas picks it up. Wade back to Douglas again. Douglas faking at McKenna, begging for it in the end zone. Instead to Hart. Groom just outside the front corner of the end zone. Back to Douglas. Douglas with a really nice inside throw. Finds France, and France finds a stationary Cammy Groom. Great cut. Just got enough space from Zhao. 6 in a row for Old News.
And Old News really do look like they've just turned up the intensity on their defense as well. They're making StellO feel and look like they're playing a little bit more uncomfortable now. Jaffray had a couple different options to throw to earlier in that stall count, but the defensive pressure just on that back shoulder enough to make her second guess it, eventually resulting in that turnover. And credit to Old News, they really have come out and adjusted well in this game.
The Old News with 6 breaks now, as we see the valiant but ultimately unsuccessful layout bid from Dunbar turns in the stack, but again a really good block from McKenna, and StellO unable to stop the flow towards the end zone of Old News. That's 7 cut. All Cammy Groom needs to do to convert.
See that run of breaks there in the last 10 points. They've had 5 unanswered breaks, taking half and then breaking 3 times out of half as well. Sean, showing us why they are the favorites of this tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for StellO to get back into this one, but that's what they're going to try and do. Nothing else you can do in a semi-final but keep going, try and get 1 point on the board and use that as a building block. But unreal pull and pull chase from Old News, and that's a really good catch from Morin Colombe. It's with Green now. Every single cut is guarded so tightly. Commenda with the disc. Looks to step through and send it deep. Instead comes short to Jacques. Looking for Commenda. Nice cut from Morin Colombe, who goes deep. Beautiful throw. Straight to Jacques. Excellent lead pass. And Jacques into the hands of the receiver. Polowick scores the goal. And StellO finally break that run of Old News points.
And it was that throw from Colombe that just opened up the play there for StellO. Gorgeous leading pass into that upwind direction as well. Put it on an absolute plate there for Jacques to run onto it. And StellO, like you said, stopping the momentum here a little bit from Old News. Good feet as well to watch that sideline. And then always had an open receiver. The defense there from Old News just not catching up once that huck went out.
Beautifully measured throw from Morin Colombe. Very, very difficult. Not much angle to work with, but as Becky said, put it out on a plate for the receiver. That's exactly what her team needed. So we've seen StellO able to exert pressure early in the game. They have struggled more since then. They got a break early on, but the last few points for Old News, their O-line, we've had 2 turns in the last 4 opportunities since that break. Really starting to put things together. As we see McKenna out there again, Groom out there again, Wallison, Douglas, Hart's out there, very familiar group. Douglas disc centered, and it's a zone again from StellO. Although they are forcing the other way this time, looking to funnel them to the far side rather than the near. Pretty much every team has been trying to come to this near side. It seems like it's been the low side all week, but StellO adjusting things slightly. Looks like there's a pick call.
Yeah, this StellO zone playing match upfield, that wall at the front, so picks very much able to still occur in that upfield position.
More of a screen than anything else. It looks like they're going to be out of it pretty quickly. We're out of it already, just for the first pass or two. And it's Cammy Groom on this near side. Back to Douglas. Mo Safari. Across again to Douglas. Old News really accessing the whole field here. Hart. Lovely inside throw to McKenna. McKenna with a deep shot. Looking for Wallison. Wallison with an excellent catch with the left hand. Leaves her feet. Really good hold for Old News.
Yeah, very easily worked through that zone at the start and recognizing when that transition happens, when to attack and connect with their cutters. Lindsay McKenna really controlling the tempo of that offense as well.
This inside throw from Hart. Tough to defend, opens up the whole field, and from there, StellO scrambling a little bit. Good catch with the left hand, Becky. Hard to do, isn't it, when you're leaving your feet, going with the wrong hand. You know, it's a difficult thing, difficult skill to master, but very good catch. If you see Lindsay McKenna's stats, I would say that's not bad.
Yeah, Lindsay McKenna is having a fantastic game. 3 goals, 2 assists, and a block to her name as well. And of course, those stats don't tell you the story of the way she's been cutting throughout this game. So far, she's looked unguardable today, Sean.
Yeah, as have several of these Old News players, which is the problem for StellO. But StellO continue to battle. They've been able to put some good stuff together offensively themselves. As the pull comes up from Old News. Very good pull, all the way to the end zone. Centered to Brown. Oh, what a catch. Back to Brown. Zhao has loads of space downfield. Until it's on that far sideline with Landry. Landry looking for an option. Brown squirrels to the sideline. Looks deep, nothing there. Landry instead on the slight gainer on that sideline. Landry looks to go all the way across the field. I'm not really sure what she saw there. That's going to sit. And Mextroth, well, Mextroth caught it at the same time as Morse, and Mextroth decides to leave it for Morse. It's with Dang now. Huge gainer to Mextroth in loads of space. Little adjustment, brings it in. Fakes Groom, looking instead to get it off that sideline, but Groom is in a lot of space. Brown standing off, and Groom goes into the end zone, and the score is caught by Gorman, and in the end, that break looked really routine for Old News.
Yeah, just running away with it. They transitioned so quickly there from defense back to offense, and at that point, StellO just weren't able to catch up and find their marks. Saw Landry there after that point just tap her chest as if to acknowledge that was me. Knew that that throw decision was maybe not the right one. We weren't sure what she was looking at in the defense there. See them catching it at the same time. Read it all the way. And then Mextroth just in acres of space.
This game, one of many that we have been bringing you this week. Many more still to come. If you want to catch all of the action, you can subscribe to Ultiworld's coverage at the link you see on the screen there, ultiworld.com/subscribe. You'll be able to see all the games, both the ones that are commentated that we've been looking at, and also the full access fields that are being streamed elsewhere. And that subscription will grant you entry to the Ultiworld Discord. As it says there, the best place to talk about Ultimate Online. Plenty of coverage of what's going on in the United States, in Europe, and a number of different topics. Whatever floats your boat, you'll find it there on the Ultiworld Discord. The pull comes up from Old News. Will it be same old story? Or will StellO be able to get something going here in this second half? Nice pull play, get some movement going for Cote. Finds Lukenda. Back to Comenda. Lukenda in a nice power position there, but nothing happening upfield. And that short field pass blocked pretty easily there. It was read all the way by Ritzman. She collects it in the middle of the field now. Looking for Wang downfield, but that one straight to Cote as well. Just misjudges the throw completely, and then Cote catches the goal. Really nice pass to find her by Ellis, and a hold for StellO gets them back on the board.
Yeah, great connection on that one from Ellis, and a good job there from StellO to earn the disc back after the turnover. We haven't seen that as much from them in this second half, able to fight for the disc back. So far we've seen Old News transition so quickly into offense that StellO have been catching up for the most part, but Cote earning that block and then getting the bookends with the goal as well.
Yeah, that's the first time that StellO have scored a point on which they have turned over since the point that made it 4-4, Becky. So the StellO O-line has really struggled to convert those points when they have turned over. There's been multi-turn points, but for a long time in the game there, it was a story of if the StellO O-line weren't clean, they were struggling big time, but as you say, did a good job getting that one back. Fourth time with the disc. We'll get this one started. It looks like Vachon, who's been playing a big role in the O-line, is coming over to play some D here as that pull lands inbounds. Centered to Douglas and Mosafari. Again, we see a screeny defense here, although again, we're already out of that all match now. Good hand them up by Green, but a nice throw by Mosafari. Over on that far sideline to McKenna. McKenna goes deep, looking for Wallison. Wallison has time, space, catches it. What a shot from McKenna.
Another beautiful throw from Lindsay McKenna. We've seen her do that a few times in this game. That one just put into the space in front of Williamson to run onto it. And Old News looking so comfortable now, Sean. 1 point away from booking their place in the finals. Be really hard to see a way for StellO back into this game at this point.
It is the way Old News are playing, the way they're converting. It's a 5-pass hold. McKenna, as Becky said earlier, looking completely unguardable. That puts her up to 3 goals, 3 assists, and a block with no turns. A hell of a performance. But the best players turn up on the biggest stages, and McKenna has done just that at this semi-final at the World Masters Ultimate Championship, Club Championships.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to look at some of the highlights from Lindsay McKenna in this game, tracking them down, doing it on both sides of the disc, scoring goals, assisting as well, frequently just open in miles of space. See no defender even near her on that one. She's
tall, Becky, rangy, fast, but she's, as you said, can do it both sides. This throw, Wallison has to extend to get it, but we saw another one on that last point, on the money. McKenna getting the job done. Can StellO get the job done? And ask questions of the Old News O-line. Good catch there on the far sideline by Landry. Back to Quigley. Landry comes to get it back. There's a deep shot available, but instead Landry goes on the far side. This with Jaffray. Turns down that deep shot. Quigley. Tired looking legs downfield, not a huge amount going on for StellO. Deep shot faked by Dunbar into Quigley. Again, Quigley doesn't have a huge amount to throw to. Cammy Groom reads that one like a book. And Old News are off and running. Groom again, Mextroth has space. And Cammy Groom sits it out in front of Mextroth. A goal to end the game. The same story we've seen several times. StellO struggling to get any movement, and Old News pouncing when they have the opportunity.
And you said it there, Sean. Cammy Groom read that all the way, was expecting that to go, maybe even baiting her player a little bit, knowing that she could come in and get that run-through block. could see quickly pointed to the space as well. And Cami Groom was able to see that all the way and then leading it into Mektroth for the goal. Old News showing us exactly why they're the #1 seed of this tournament and why no team has scored more than 7 points on them as well throughout the week, Sean, booking their place in the final. And it's hard to imagine to see a way in which a team can really compete with them right now.
Yeah, we look at the stats here, 88% hold. They had that break. StellO broke on the second offensive point. But other than that, very, very good. Lots of breaks, 50% of the points, or the opportunities they had to break, Old News did so. Only 13 turnovers, 9 blocks. Cami Groom and Lindsay McKenna with outrageous stat lines. Neither one had a turnover in the game as well, combining for 14 goal involvements. Just unbelievable stuff from 2 of the best players at this tournament and indeed in the world. As we see in the other semi-final, things have tightened up a little. Ripe of North Carolina still lead. Nike of Japan 13-11, but that game continues. You'll be able to watch that elsewhere. If you have an Ultiworld subscription, you'll be able to watch the conclusion of that game. But this one's over. Old News, the #1 seed, the favourites, look imperious, Becky. Looks like they're going to take some stopping.
Yeah, and you get a chance to see some of the highlights from this one as well. These teams putting it all out there. Commiserations to StellO, who will play for a bronze medal. But Old News just dominant here today, Sean.
Dominant. They'll go into the final. That will be tomorrow, but we have plenty more for you here today. We hope to see you again. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.